Hey, Rene, good to have you back on here. Excited to chat about your experience of working together with Amplify Your Influence. It's crazy that the book's already come out like a year and a half ago, April
Uh,
2022.
Crazy,
Uh,
right?
yeah, but I've been loving watching your success, man, growing on social and obviously impacting lives offline
Thank
as you've
you.
been doing for decades now. But wanted to take this time just to kind of hear the impact we had on you with the book promotion on our social media channels and just kind of get into like how important it is to leverage social media too, from a book marketing standpoint. So the first thing I like to kick off is your outlook before writing the book of like how the book was going to fit into the business you were already running and the expectations maybe you set for yourself to now be this published author.
Writing a book's an interesting process. Being published versus self-publishing are two very different processes. Both
Mm.
have their pros and cons. For me, the credibility was what I was looking for is to the outside stamp of approval that you can't purchase. I mean, you have to be selected to get published. And so there's a sense of different level of credibility that comes with that. And also the professionalism that they want you to write the book in and the support that they have to really make it a really, really well done product. But for me, it was also about how do you gather your ideas into one centralized place that people could review over and over to become a reference guide and a statement to the world that this is what we believe about this topic. Ours was influence and the science of it. And so for me, the shift was making the decision to do it, putting the year and a half that we did into it, and then, you know, launching it and watching things sort of grow from there. But it was all still hard work.
Yeah, I love that. Well, can you attribute having the book out now as massive business growth or growth of who you are as a professional too?
100%. It changed. I'm putting my business hat on right now, so it's always hard to talk about yourself and your own brand,
Right.
but it changes the perception when you walk into a room and everyone's holding your book. That shifts the dynamic very much. When you're doing a book signing and there's a line of people waiting to talk to you, it shifts the dynamic. It creates a more leverage, and for speakers and authors to have somebody like you around that is out there really honing in and finding the right books to promote and then putting it next to another book that is very well done, you get become guilty by association. And so there's a lot of value in, one, it shifted our pricing. I mean, our pricing went up a lot higher.
Awesome.
I mean, I spoke 239 days last year, so to give you an idea of like that fills up a calendar really quick. And so it was a very, very good business decision.
Awesome. I love that. So just for the viewers, obviously we helped you share your book on our channels of our 180,000 readers now through Unleash the Knowledge. Just want to kind of get your take on what the results you feel you gained from the book launch, but then also specifically teaming up with us. And maybe you could touch upon the note, I believe, from when we first got linked up together. You weren't even really exploring the influencer or the digital community space. So I'd love to get your take on if it was a worthwhile play with us and now how you kind of, or how it was built into your overall book launch.
For sure. Well, one, yeah, I wasn't even considering it until you reached out. And then I wasn't considering it until I saw it. And then I saw, I'm like, oh, what are these books being highlighted? The format I think is very genius because it's an impartial view of here's what's going on. And when you're being presented alongside of other very well-respected books, you are now seen in that same category. And so it was really, really cool. And I remember reaching out saying, hey, how does this work? And, you were very easy to work with. That's the best part, is that you were very easy to work with. And what I was most impressed with is that you take an honest interest in the book and the author. You read the book yourself. You don't just, get paid in post. You take the time to truly understand what our business model was, what we're trying to say, and you're compared. I mean, you've read already so many books, so you've got a comparative sense over what's quality, what's not, and you did an honest review of the book. So that to me is why I've recommended every one of my friends authors to partner with you, is because you truly take an interest in the book. And I'm assuming there's books out there that you don't like and you probably couldn't work with, which is where your integrity comes in.
Awesome. Great to hear all that. Was there anything like that pleasantly surprised you from working together that maybe you weren't expecting initially?
You know, I think it'd be the fact that you took an interest in it. I think that was it. And then you would also, throughout the years, we would show up again, and we didn't even, pay you for that. You
Right.
delivered above and beyond what the initial agreement was, which nobody does that anymore. And you didn't come back and ask for anything else. You just truly delivered. And I thought that was a really cool thing that when you work with you, that you're going to over deliver on the promise, which I thought was really cool.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Well, you hit Wall Street Journal, you hit USA Today, Publishers Weekly. Obviously, Amazon was the easiest bestseller list to hit out of all the other ones you accomplished. Can you take me through kind of like the overarching marketing strategy? Was it traditional PR? Was it podcasts? Social media? I ask because I kind of take a stance today that like traditional PR firms don't move the needle as they once did, and it's a social media, podcast, email, newsletter type of game today.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to kind of hear what was your strategy there, and if think some things worked well or some things didn't.
Yeah, we did all of it. And the I think all of it has an impact. I agree with you that the traditional PR play isn't as strong unless you're getting into the bigger publications, which we were able to get into Forbes and Inc. and Fast Company and Maxim and Men's Health and a bunch of other ones. But those were people that wrote articles about us, or me writing an article that was pitched to them. So that lends its own credibility when you get a brand behind it. It's not easy to get. So it's not always accessible to everybody. But I would agree with you that podcasting and influencer marketing, those are really powerful plays, especially if it's done, from somebody who truly has a good following. And it doesn't have to be big. It's got to be a good following. You don't need 1 million followers. A good 100,000, a good 50,000, even a good 20, shoot, good 10. That's 10,000 people. If they're engaged, it's a really powerful thing. And to me, I took on every podcast, I took on everything. And if people think it's easy, it's not. It's the hardest work that we ever did.
Yeah.
We did trades as well for workshops that typically cost 35,000. We would, they'd buy 500 books, which is a drop in the bucket in comparison to 35. Mm-hmm. And then they would leverage those books to their partners and referral partners and their companies. And they would, sponsor events with the books that they purchased. And so it won all the way around. And I got a chance to do an event for them, so, people say, wow, that's so they don't realize that that's a cost on my end to do that. So we lost $300,000 or $400,000 in revenue based on the trades that we did. But was it worth it? I'd do it all day long, and that's why I think one is we were willing to look at it from all the angles.
And I think it says a lot about you too, to be willing to take that loss up front, because you know how great you are too with the work you do. So once you're in the room, you probably sign deals for years coming forward. So to take that loss initially, get those book sales, but then you can have that opportunity to upsell them or get them into longer term contracts, which is good advice, because most authors are like, no, I'm worth the big dollars. I'm not willing to do the work or any of that nature.
Yeah.
Awesome. So just one last kind of parting question. There's folks like yourself who have done amazing work in the background and didn't have that public image until the book launched. And now you're obviously becoming pretty much of a whole household name in the self-help and the personal development world, which is amazing. Then there's obviously the folks that are very quiet, that don't really have much going on. And then obviously the farthest spectrum are people that already are well known. Kind of like, I'm looking, I guess the question is, for folks that would recommend or that would be benefited from my services, and like whom, but maybe touch upon like those levels of people on where they are in their journey and whether the offerings we provide are suitable for them all, or just from what you kind of know through your book marketing strategy, like where you would kind of advise them.
It's suitable for everyone. I mean, attention and eyeballs are attention and eyeballs, and you've got a great group, you've got a great following, and you're reasonably priced. And so it was one of the more no-brain decisions that we made, was to work with you on that. And so if you're big and famous, and then you're going to, there's, I don't care how big and famous you are, there's still people that don't know you. I mean, Ed Milet's one of the biggest, and I still ask people, hey, Ed Milet, there's still a bunch of people who say, no, if they're not in the space, they don't know, but you might open them up to that, which is an opportunity. And Ed's one of the biggest out there, so, I'm known-ish, getting there, I mean, I'm doing it a long time, but I still got a long ways to go. And so getting avenues and access to more people is always a valuable. There's 8 billion people in the world. There's no way we know them all.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, Rene. Well, thanks so much, man. I appreciate the time.
Thanks, Owen.
Working with you, and I'll let you go, and we'll talk soon.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks.